Right back, though.
Year and to accomplish what we want to accomplish.
We're trying to build the championship freaking football team right now.
Papa, I'm going to show you how great I am.
Well, first and foremost, because there's not going to be a whole lot of congratulating football teams in this episode, I want to first congratulate Ash Ketchum for finally becoming the champion of Pokemon. After 25 long, hard years, Ash Ketchum is the very best. So everyone, let's give Ash a round of applause here. And I think the moral of the story here is never give up on your dreams, folks. Ash might have never have aged a day somehow, but after 25 years, he finally accomplished his dream. So never give up, folks. It might take 25 years, but you can do it too, as long as you don't age and you can just abandon all real adult responsibility. You might be able to achieve your dreams. Let's start off this episode with a little bit of positivity, and that is episode 12 of Fans of the Week with your hosts,
Derv
and Dylan. I just saw Syracuse is getting their cheeks clapped by Colgate, so that's going fantastic. All of our teams are just losing this week. It's just a losing spree. We started off strong Sunday morning with a loss by the Seahawks to the Bucks, and then we went and screamed our heads off for 4 hours and just lost. It had the Bills lose to the Vikings, all of that for nothing. I'm still at only like 80% for my voice, as you can probably hear. And then the Eagles, my parents are Eagles fans. I grew up an Eagles fan before I made the switch. They lose, and their undefeated season is over. And now Syracuse is losing. I'm pretty sure the Sabres lost yesterday as well, and they're currently losing to the Canucks. Can we just get someone to win something?
I mean, two of my teams have been winning besides the Bills, so...
Oh, have the Celtics been playing well?
They I forget who they played the other day. I think they played the Thunder.
Well, that's a pretty easy one.
But then, like, Penn State, took it to Maryland on Saturday, 130-0. So
Took it to them. Yeah, 30
Yeah.
to nothing. Okay. So all the winning is over there on the Durf side of the table. Okay, that's fine.
yeah, a little
That's
bit.
okay. It happens. It happens. I mean, to be fair, I think I just exchanged my teams winning for me winning personally because I went 4 for 4 on
yeah.
my bets this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I guess I sacrificed, my team's winning for just me winning money. I guess
Right.
that's just how it's going to be from here on out. Sorry, guys. I got money to make. You're just going to have to take the L. Oh. Hey, we have an unofficial sponsor here.
Yeah, buddy.
Real quick, this week's unofficial sponsor is going to be toothpicks. Good old-fashioned toothpicks. Great for chewing on, hitting the small button on your electronic devices that do the hard reset on them that you can't really reach, flinging them at people until you hit one in the eye, and now you have thousands of dollars in damages that you have to pay for, but it's still a lot of fun. I don't think I've ever used one to actually pick something out of my teeth, which I assume is their intended purpose, which is, tooth picking. But they're still great. God bless them. Thank you for existing, toothpicks.
Yeah, I think I might have used one once.
Oh, to act for its intended purpose, or just in
Yeah.
general? Oh, okay.
For its intended purpose.
Oh.
In general, though, I think to run along the lines here of electronic things that electronic devices that use the toothpick for a hard reset. Any iPhone user that has a Lightning charging cable, which most of them are now, a toothpick is great for cleaning up the charging port on your phone. Because if you have it in your pocket a lot, that's a lot of lint that can get in there, which isn't hard for me. So every other month or so, take a little toothpick, go in there and scrape out the lint, and then I get a nice clean, crisp lock when I plug my phone in at night.
I think I might have to do that. I'm going to go get me a toothpick and do that.
There you go.
Just because that's this week's unofficial sponsor, I'm going to go out of my way, find a toothpick, and we'll celebrate. We'll celebrate toothpicks. If there's an actual toothpick maker out there who wants to be a real sponsor, just hit us up. You know our number. Actually, you don't. We'll find you. Our lawyers will call your lawyers.
Slide into our DMs on Twitter.
There you go. At Durf and Dylan on Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and anywhere that you would so desire finding us on social media. Let's jump into some football now, shall we? We got all the other fun stuff out of the way. Let's get to the more depressing things. We have our Bills and Seahawks top headlines of the week. Main point here for the Seahawks entering a bye week is no one's really discussing football at the moment since we're heading into a bye week. There's nothing to really look forward to. No major injuries coming out of the game in Germany. So what do we need to discuss? What are we going to do with Geno Smith? I mean, we're not really getting any answers. We're going to get the boring, stupid, safe answers from Pete Carroll and John Snyder and all those folks. What are you going to do with Geno Smith? Are you going to extend him? What's the plan here? You're going to draft a quarterback? They're just going to look at you and go, we'll deal with it after the season, which is what you're expecting them to say. But the question is very real. The Seahawks might have lost to the Bucs, but Geno Smith once again had an over 70% completion percentage. He ran the ball well. He only had the one fumble. It was bad timing fumble, but only the one fumble. He still threw 2 more touchdown passes. He played good, and he just continues to play well. So everyone has to ask the question, is he going to get extended? Are they going to let him go out in free agency and get a massive contract? We'll never know the answer. But it is a discussion worth having because right now, I don't have the answer. I literally am going to need to see 17-plus games out of Geno Smith. This entire, meaning if they make the playoffs or not. I'm going to need to see 17 games minimum out of Geno Smith before I make a decision. If he can play this entire season doing what he's doing, why not re-sign him? But if he fades, falters, he finishes on a 5-game losing streak where he like doesn't even throw a touchdown pass or something crazy like that.
Mhm.
Okay, that's what we were waiting for. Yep, gotta let him go. So, but that's what everyone's talking about. You know, you gotta have a headline heading into the bye week, and that's the one that we're choosing.
Yeah. I mean, it's not an unreasonable headline for the Seahawks for sure.
No, not at all. I definitely get it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think we talked about this last week. But I think the Seahawks and the Bucks are the first two teams actually to take the bye week after playing overseas. I feel like most of the teams this year so far have played the next week.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought that was like an NFLPA rule that you had to take a bye week after a international game.
No, I think this year or maybe last year they made it optional.
Wow.
Yeah, I think once they were figuring out that, figuring out the kind of logistics and on a regular basis for playing overseas, they were like, oh yeah, you guys actually don't need a whole extra week off between games based on what we're seeing. So it's up to the organization to do that.
I mean, it's a good time for them too. I mean, we're heading into week 11. It's a good time for a bye
Right.
week.
It's not a bad time. Yeah, definitely.
What are we looking at for the Bills headlines? I feel like there's a couple, so you got a couple to choose from. I think
there is probably a couple. I think the big one that's probably been talked about a lot. Maybe not as much as some other topics, but we'll leave those topics for later in the game, or later in the show here. But the Bills' second half scoring has clearly been talked about. It's not good.
it's non-existent.
Really, really not good. 3 whole field goals has been their second half since the bye week, and it's pretty pitiful.
Can't like what do you always see? Like you always see it in the locker rooms after a team has like a comeback win. They're like, "Can you win in the first quarter? No. Can you win in the second quarter? No.
Right.
Can you win a game in the fourth quarter?" And the Bills are like, "Yes, but we didn't."
Right. So yeah, it's not good. Something that the Bills clearly need to work on. It seems like it's been kind of a flip in the a change in the roles this season since the bye week, where the Bills offense kind of kept doing its thing throughout the entire game, all 4 quarters. But then like the Bills defense locked teams down in the second half, and now it's kind of the other way around. The Bills can't score in the second half, and the defense lets the other teams come back and either get close to winning the game or take the lead and possibly win the game. So it's not great.
I mean, it's not even just the scoring for the offense; it's just the turnovers too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just been an offensive collapse, and I think I saw at least from this past week's game, they showed the rushing statistics between the first half and the second half, and like the first half, Singletary got like 4 or 5 carries, whatever it was. Cook got like 2, none for Hines, and then they show the second half, and it was like Singletary had 1 carry, Cook 0, Hines 0. Like they didn't run the ball literally at all. And we say this every week. Like one of the matchups or another point, like it's just every single week, one of your points is the offense going to get more balanced? And the answer is always no. And I think personally it's costing them games. That if you had to point, there's a lot of finger pointing you can do. But I think the number one thing that Bills fans can't forget is there's no running offense. There's no rushing offense. Play calling is atrocious.
Right.
Whether it's the running back's fault or the play caller's fault, they're not eating clock. They're not getting first downs with the football. They're just not utilizing a second half offense at all.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think we can go into it maybe a little more during we do the game recap, but Yeah, no, a lot of good points there for sure.
Yeah, no points in the second half for the Bills. Going to be an issue moving forward, always. And since, the Seahawks have a bye week coming up, if you want to lead off with our Week 10 game from the Bills, and then we'll go
Oh,
Hawks,
yeah.
and then we'll finish Bills. How's that sound?
That sounds great to me.
I love it.
So we can continue our talking of how terrible this Bills offense is.
Second half
by
offense.
Second out, yes.
Let's be
Well,
clear.
could be all in general. There was some first half struggles, I think. They worked through them,
Yeah.
but there was some opportunity there for sure. All right, so the Vikings came to Buffalo. Me, you, and our buddy Matt were all there in attendance on that cold day. It was a little brisk. It was fun.
Just a touch, it was a little windy, some snow here and there.
Yeah, we had some good snow during the game. That was a lot of fun. Game went into overtime, and unfortunately, the Vikings took the game 33-30 after Josh Allen throws his second interception. This one in the red zone, right to Patrick Peterson when he was trying to hit Gabriel Davis in the end zone, threw it behind him, and Patrick Peterson, was opportunistic and jumped the route and secured the Vikings win. So
I've watched that interception like 50 times. And I still just don't know what Josh was seeing. Because like you just said, the ball was behind him. It would have came up short. The pass was just even if Patrick Peterson isn't there, that pass is just going straight into the dirt at Diggs' feet.
Davis probably could have stopped.
Or Davis, sorry.
And leaned back and caught the ball if Patrick Peterson's not there. But that's a play where Allen's got to lead him. He's got to lead Davis into the end zone because the way it opened up there, if Allen times it correctly and has the lead on the throw, that's right into Gabe Davis's hand, and that's a touchdown for the Bills to win the game. So lots of heartbreak, shock, and then stuck in traffic for an hour.
And you're just sitting there depressed and you're drunk and hungover at the same time and your throat hurts and it's just
right?
Nothing is good right now.
I sounded so bad yesterday when I was at work. And I think mine's mostly back. I think there's a little bit there at certain pitches trying to think when
I can't go high pitched. I'm stuck here.
It cuts out and stuff. But yeah, so well, yeah. But you and Matt and I all had a lot of fun, so that's what matters.
It was a lot of fun. No one can take that away from us.
Oh yeah.
No one can take away the fact that I took my fucking shirt off. Yeah, there's our one F for the episode. I'm taking my shirt off for this.
Because our buddy Batman left.
Well, because first and foremost, Batman's a bitch. I've never liked Batman as a superhero, but now I don't even respect him anymore.
Right.
Because we had a guy taking his shirt off right off the bat in the first quarter, wearing a Batman mask. He's going hard. Everyone's having fun. And then by halftime, this dude's slumped over in his chair, just dead. Yeah. And we lost him for the rest of the game. He was an awful Batman. So I try to rally the troops. I take my shirt off for the fourth quarter, near the end of the fourth quarter, thinking, this is the boost that the team needs. This right here will change everything. Not knowing that this is going to head into overtime now, and now I have to sit here for the entirety of overtime with my shirt off. Now we're having a problem. Things are getting a little chilly, not looking good, and then they end up losing anyways.
Right.
But no one can take that away from us. That's for sure.
That is absolutely for sure. All right, so we'll jump into the three matchup I was looking to watch for the Bills versus Vikings game. Bills run defense versus Dalvin Cook. They did pretty decent for the most day, except for the one giant run that Dalvin Cook had. That was his touchdown. Otherwise, I thought the Bills defense did a pretty good job. Matt Milano was back in the lineup, so him and Tremaine Edmonds were able to do a pretty decent job at keeping the line of scrimmage contained for the most part. Being able to close up the gaps that Vikings offensive line opened up on the running plays, and Dalvin did later in the game when the Vikings were making their comeback, and there was a couple times where Dalvin run on the left through a wide open hole, cuts it back up the middle, and now it's 15 yards until they get him tackled. Like, there was obviously some missed opportunities on the Bills' run defense, but I thought starting out overall, we didn't let the Bills didn't let the Dalvin Cook or Alexander Madison just run all over them off the get go. So definitely some earned yards for Cook, but if I had to give the Bills' run defense a grade, I'd give them a B minus.
I think that'd be fair.
So I think that's about where they're at.
Because I think it was like an 80-yard touchdown run for Dalvin.
Yeah.
And overall, he only had 114 yards. So, I mean...
Right. I mean, it was at halftime, and he had, 23 yards. That was it.
They shut him down.
They
except
did
for that long run. And then maybe a couple of clutch, long first down runs at the end of the game there. But outside of that, yeah, shut him down. Yeah,
for sure. So my second point here that I was looking to watch during the game was better offensive line play for the Bills, and Spencer Brown was back in action, which relieved David Questenberry of his duties at right tackle, which was, I thought, very much needed. I think that's what allowed some of the run game to pop off a little bit early on in the game. Spencer Brown, I think, is definitely the better right tackle for the Bills. I thought it gave Josh Allen some more time in the pocket. And, I think it looked like we were getting back to the offense that we saw and became used to expecting early on in the season for the Bills. So it was good to see that. Hopefully we can keep Spencer Brown and the rest of the offensive line healthy moving forward. But there's definitely some drop-off. Not that there is a ton, but there is a noticeable drop-off between your starting offensive linemen and their backups. Third point that I was looking to watch here was Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen versus the young Bills secondary. It didn't go well. It didn't go well. We weren't sure at the time of the recording last week if Poyer or White would be on the field on Sunday. Turned out neither one of them were on the field. No clue what is taking Trey White so long to get back on the field. But it is time to man up or go on the IR for the rest of the year, in my opinion. Time to put up or shut up kind of situation. And it wasn't so much Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, I thought, against this Bills secondary. It was Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson.
TJ had himself a pretty good day.
He was all over that place, and I think the Bills forgot that the Vikings traded for him, because it was kind of like, what are we doing? How can we not stop this guy? That was a good pickup for the Vikings. Why did the Lions give them TJ Hawkinson? I don't know. Interdivisional rival? Who knows? But good for the Vikings to get that tight end like that, because that is a weapon that Kirk Cousins needed for sure.
I mean, he had 7 catches, 45 yards. Thielen still 5 catches, 49. And then obviously, Mr. Jefferson, 10 for 193 yards and a touchdown. And probably the catch of the year mixed in there as well.
Catch of the year for sure. I think before that happened, I thought Diggs had probably the catch of the game, if not catch of the week.
Man,
with
we
his
just had to go go in one up. And what the
yeah.
heck? What are we doing?
And I mean, in that play with Justin Jefferson, Cam Lewis did come out and say that that was completely on him for not breaking that up. Justin Jefferson had one hand on that ball, and Cam had two.
Mhm.
And if anything, to stop that completion, knock the ball out. Just
Right.
punch it out of there. Break it up so it's not complete. And instead, Justin Jefferson one-handed it with his massive hands and took it to the ground, and it was called a reception. So,
I mean, I remember that play happening, and we were up in our 300 level seats, like celebrating, thinking that got picked off.
yeah,
And then the announcer comes over, caught by number whatever, Justin Jefferson, first down. Like, wait, what did he just say?
right.
That was a catch? We're just all
Yeah.
looking at each other like, what? What do you mean he
Right.
caught that? There's no way.
Yeah, no, that was definitely tough for sure. But that's why I think Justin Jefferson. I don't know if he would have been this productive if he had the whole Diggs trade never happened and the Bills ended up drafting him. I don't think he would have been as good as a Buffalo Bill as much as Stephon Diggs has been. I think he's definitely on the right team for what it is, to be able to get the most out of his career. So
Some people are just meant to be with certain people on certain teams, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's just destiny that lines up right. And now they have their Randy Moss 2.0. Maybe that's a little extreme. I don't know. I've seen a lot of comparisons. I mean, the kid is very good.
I mean, he is absolutely very good. Hence why he's on my fantasy team. Oh, it's always the struggle watching the Bills. When you're at the game, it's like they're playing a team that you have someone really good on your fantasy team, and it's like, go, but no, yes, no.
Do just enough to
I
give
don't
me
know what
like
to do.
20
I don't know what
points,
to
but
do.
not win for the other team.
Right.
It's like you got to find that fine balance. Like, oh yeah,
Right.
he caught 193 yards for a touchdown, but the Bills still won. Everybody wins. Good
Right.
job. Yeah.
All right. So other points here. Which Cook brother was going to have the better game? Was it Dalvin or James? Clearly it was Dalvin.
Yeah. I think we all
I don't know.
kinda knew that one.
I was a little more surprised the Bills didn't use James Cook the way more because of the other situation. My wife did tell me that she was at home watching the game, that they kept like cutting over to like Dalvin and James Cook's family, and they were like all wearing like Bills James Cook jerseys, but then they had like the Vikings pins on the jersey because they were in Buffalo. So they were rooting for the Vikings to score, but wearing a Bills jersey. So
It's kind of a weird look, like when
Yeah, it was a little bit.
Dalvin Cook probably went on that giant run, and they're sitting there like
Right.
cheering, but wearing
Yep.
Buffalo jerseys. Everyone's probably looking at them, going, "What the hell are they doing?"
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I was more surprised that the Bills didn't use James Cook more than what they did. And I think granted, Devin Singletary had a good start to the game with his 2 touchdowns, and he was rocking pretty good. They had Duke Johnson back there for a little bit. I think Nyheim Hines was in there as a slot receiver. They just didn't use James Cook at all. It seemed like, and I know there was a couple plays that he ran the ball, or they tried to do the wheel route or a quick screen, and it just wasn't working. So who knows?
It's just so sad because, just like you said, I mean, the run game was strong early on.
Right.
Devin got the 2 touchdowns. They were moving the ball well, because I think near the end of the game, like, the Bills defense didn't know what was coming next because they were running the ball well. They were throwing all over the place. They were either going shallow to TJ or, deep to Justin. And, like, the
Right.
Bills just they didn't even get forced into being one-dimensional. They chose to be one-dimensional.
Yeah.
And it's just bizarre because they don't have to be. As we saw with
Right.
the first half, like they were able to
Yep.
run the ball. They were able to throw. They were able to do whatever they wanted. And then they were just like, all right, enough of that. Like what are you doing?
Yeah. I mean, not to like be like, oh, Ken Dorsey's terrible, but like, there's got to be something there. Like, what are you doing, bud?
It's a trend now. I mean, it's been almost the whole season that we've seen this, and it's sometimes and some weeks it works. Obviously, some weeks
Right.
Josh Allen just pops off 4 touchdowns, running the ball all over. They don't need a run game, but in the weeks that they like needed a run game, especially when you're up 27-10, maybe let's just try and run the clock out a little bit here. Let's get mixing a couple of run plays instead of just
Right.
throwing 3 straight incompletions. You know, that's where you need to have a little bit more game management out of your play caller.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of the Bills play caller, my last other point was, would the Bills offense look any different with the Josh Allen injury? Luckily, he was able to start Sunday. Didn't seem like he had any issues with the elbow. Something that I pointed out to you and Matt was he was wearing full long sleeve like spandex. That was to hide the elbow sleeve that he had on to help the tendon, basically. And I mean, yeah, I mean, do what you gotta do. But I didn't think his performance was completely hindered by the injury. I thought that he did a pretty good job with the physical therapy and recovery that they focused on during the week to get him to be able to play. But I think the offense probably should have looked a little bit more different than what it was, but seemed like it was a typical offense for the Bills. Besides, not being able to do anything in the second half, but
So a typical Bills offense.
technically, yes.
So everything was par for the course here.
Par
Injury
for the
didn't
course.
affect nothing, including not being able to score in the second half.
And then real quick here, favorite bet was a Diggs anytime score, and unfortunately, Diggs was the only Bills playmaker that didn't get a touchdown.
It's unfortunate. I know the guy
It is
behind us wanted
unfortunate.
a Diggs touchdown too.
Yeah, and like it seemed like they were trying for sure, but they just weren't running Diggs, and it seemed like on the right routes to make it happen.
He seemed to be more of the distraction piece for other playmakers.
Right.
That's just kind of seemed like what was going on. I mean, he still had 12 catches, 128 yards.
Yeah.
But I mean, when it came to scoring plays, I mean, they only had they had the 2 rushing touchdowns, and then Gabe Davis with the 1.
Yeah.
But yeah, just not in the end zone for him. That's all. Just not in the end zone. Okay. Let's go to our second loss of the weekend. We had the Seahawks flying out to Germany to face the Buccaneers. I could not watch this game. I could watch bits and pieces, but apparently out in Buffalo near the stadium, there's this little thing called reception or service or 5G or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't exist out there, apparently.
It only doesn't exist because the massive amount of people that are in a concentrated area.
Well, they all need to leave so I can watch the Seahawks game. Come back later. It'll still be here.
I mean, the Bills do have one of the bigger capacity stadiums.
It doesn't help me, though.
I'm just helping give you a reason as to why it wasn't working.
I don't need a reason. I need a solution.
A solution.
So I could not watch most of this game. But from what I gathered, the Seahawks offense was completely inept for the first 3 quarters. Geno Smith just looked he finally didn't look like a guy who knew what he was doing. He didn't look like the veteran passer that we've seen. He looked indecisive, could never settle his feet. It's not like the the Bucks rush defense, or the pass rush was getting to him. He was just seemed like he was just nervous the whole time, and it was just bizarre. But yeah, he's just not very good with a lot of his decisions. Although he didn't throw any interceptions, still 70% passing, 70% completion percentage, but just didn't look like he really knew where he wanted to go with the ball at all times. So they end up losing this one. It was very unfortunate. Leonard Fournette threw an interception, so that was fun. That's my play of the game there. Tariq Woolen with his 5th interception of the season off of a absolutely dreadful play call from the Buccaneers. Some of the points we were looking for here was a secondary versus the heavy passing attack. Didn't expect Leonard Fournette to be a part of that passing attack. But yeah, they picked him off. But the issue here was we thought they were going to be throwing the ball a lot more. I think they only had 258 passing yards still, 22 of 29 passing attempts from Tom Brady. Only 29. That's a season low for Tom Brady because for some reason they were able to lean on the run in this game like a lot. They had the 32nd ranked rushing attack heading into this game, and they ended up running for 161 yards. Rashad White, 22 carries, 105 yards. Leonard Fournette, 14 carries, 57 yards, and a touchdown. They pooped on him with the run game, which I guess the Seahawks weren't ready for. That's the only thing I'll come up with. The Seahawks were planning on a passing attack, and they got ran over. 0 sacks because they couldn't go after Tom Brady even if he did drop back because they weren't ready. It was bad. Pretty bad outing from the defense overall. Kenneth Walker could get nothing going all day long, although they were playing a very poor Buccaneers rush defense. He only had 10 carries for 17 yards. Absolutely dreadful. That was my second point there, the run defense being able to feast. He absolutely did not feast on any degree. Third point, Seahawks versus traveling. I mean, I thought they were fine, with the traveling thing, but it almost seemed like they weren't because of just like the slow start on offense. I guess it wasn't even a slow start. It was just a bad game overall until the fourth quarter. So I don't think the traveling was honestly an issue for them. I just don't think they were ready for this game. I don't know if they planned poorly. I don't know what the issue was for the Seahawks here. My other points, it was the first game in Germany, so we wanted to see what kind of vibes the crowd was going to bring for this one. The crowd was amazing. I think I tweeted it out. I think that it's time to just cancel the NFL being in America, especially in London. Cancel all the London games. Move them all to Germany. Germany deserves these games after the performance that those fans put on. They were absolutely amazing. They're at the end of the game, like before Rashad White basically iced the game with a first down run, they're in the crowd singing Country Roads for some reason. And they're like screaming it. They're all like in sync, just singing Country Roads for some reason. It was amazing. The vibes were high all week. They're handing out, apparently they're just drinking pitchers of beer in Germany. Everyone saw that picture. They're just drinking pitchers of beer for some godforsaken reason. I'm all for it. It's time to cancel football. Germany has earned the right to have the NFL. It's their league now. That's kind of my opinion. Because I mean, if I lived in Germany, I'd be a very proud German right now after what we just accomplished.
Well, yeah, it sounded like there was like fans were. Sorry.
You seem like you're struggling over there.
I am struggling there. Like, I think because I'm in the basement now and like the new studio area for me.
It doesn't seem like it's working.
It's a little dusty down here. I'm not gonna lie. And
I think you sneezed like 6 times over the course of this segment.
I at least that it seems like. I was down here earlier, kind of cleaning up stuff, and probably got kicked up the dust a little bit.
All
but like
up in the air now.
Yeah, but I didn't take my allergy medicine today because like as it gets colder, I usually stop taking it to allow my body to like readjust for the winter, and Yeah, a little bit of a sneezing fit there, but I feel like I can feel it going away. So
okay.
we're in better shape now.
We're back.
Yeah, we are back and ready to roll.
That looked rough. I felt bad for you for a minute there. I was like,
I
wow,
kept
he looks
muting
like
my
he's really
microphone
struggling.
because I was trying not to hear you make it so that you heard me sneeze every time. I was almost to the point of just disabling my camera just to step away from it.
We just got to get out of here. Let's take a breather. Let's just take a quick commercial break. We'll take a commercial for our toothpick sponsor.
There you go. But I don't know if you had seen it, or I forget who was talking about it. I think it was Matt talking about it with us when we were waiting to leave the parking lot. That the fans didn't want to leave, and they just like stayed there and were like singing "Sweet Caroline"
Yep.
in the stand. Like they were just like they were taking every single second that they could be in that stadium and just soaking it in. Like that
Didn't they like randomly rush the field like an hour after the game was over? There were just like fans on the field for like no reason.
Right.
They were just like, hey, let's go on the field. Okay. And they just went.
I mean, that just to me that is just like absolutely positive influence and positive impact that this game could have had. This is a step in the next direction, like you said. Like NFL can leave the U.S. and go to Germany and be fine.
They would love it there. Like I'd be so happy for them if they got it. Like we're canceled. We don't deserve it anymore.
We could probably have two teams in Munich. We'll have the Seahawks and the Bills in Munich.
There we go. I saw that there was someone walking around in Germany saying, like, asking people, if Germany had a football team, what would the name be? And they did a couple of different names, and then one person said the Lions. Like it'd be like a 3-headed lion on the jersey, and they're like, "Oh, the Lions already exist." They're like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah, there's already the Detroit Lions." They're like, "I'll get rid of them."
I mean, they're not wrong.
I was like, that's what everyone said in the comments. You're like, well, I mean, if you're gonna pick a team, I guess that's the one. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Right.
Poor Dan Campbell. Can't catch a break. Yeah, Seahawks played like garbage. They tried coming back. I mean, they only lost 21-16 by the end, so they did their best, I guess you could say. Yeah, my neither bets hit, obviously. Seahawks money line, Kenneth Walker anytime score. Just not good. Overall, just an absolutely dreadful performance from the Seahawks. From what I saw on Twitter, no one had anything positive to say. Every single tweet just seemed like the defense was completely inept. The offense was the worst it's been since probably the 49ers game, which brings up the concern that if the Seahawks have to go against a team with a top 10 defense, like not even top 5, top 10 defense, they're going to have a bad day. That seems to be our trend right now, which is not good if you wanted them to possibly have some kind of playoff appearance. But I have to look at the rest of their schedule, kind of see if we just take the trend of playing against top 10 defenses, I could probably predict what the rest of their season is going to look like and whether that might end up looking like a playoff appearance or not. But I did not do that for this episode. Maybe next week. I'll have the bye week to prep myself for that. But speaking of the bye week for the Seahawks, that's where we're heading for week 11. No game. I don't really know what their plans are. I mean, they're going to head back from Germany and rest up and get a couple of solid days of practice in before they have to face whoever they're facing in week 12. I don't know. There's not really much to discuss with the Hawks heading into the bye week.
Right.
Like I said before, Geno Smith contract extension is about as exciting as it gets. It's not like they're battling injuries right now. It's just going to be getting ready for week 12. So that's all I got. We're going to be heading into week 11 for the Browns visiting the Bills in Buffalo.
Yeah, buddy. And the Bills are currently 8.5-point favorites.
Probably one of the worst lines I've ever seen.
Don't ask me how, but they apparently are.
I'm asking you how.
I don't know how.
Where are you getting that from.
Like, I just went and looked up the scores from last weekend for the Browns to make sure they weren't on a bye week, and they actually did lose. They lost to the Dolphins 39-17.
That's dreadful.
That's a pretty rough game there.
That's not good.
So maybe that's why they think the Bills are going to be 8.5-point favorites. I think that's good conditioned football. Is 8.5 points is probably solid. I'd be curious to see what the point spread changes to tomorrow or on Thursday when the episode drops, because I see that going down quite a bit.
I would put money on the fact that this game by Sunday is much closer to like 5.5.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think by Sunday they'll be over a touchdown favorites. There's no way.
Yeah, I would expect that also for sure. So, my 3 matchups to watch here for this game coming up is the Bills' run defense that I was so worried about last week. Now they have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt to worry about.
Doesn't get easier.
Does not get easier
Probably
at
gets
all.
worse.
So that's I think it's a doable stop for those two. I'm hoping this is not the game like they had last year against the Colts, where Jonathan Taylor just had himself a day. I'm hoping this is the big question is here: will the Bills be able to stop Chubb and Hunt and make the Browns lean more on the passing game? Jacoby Brissett is getting close to the end of his run here, while Deshaun Watson gets ready to be reinstated into the NFL after suspension. But it'll be interesting to see what the Bills can do there for that run defense, because they got to do something, or else this game can get. I think this game could get very well out of hand, for sure. So, my second point here, something we kind of talked about at the review of the Bills Vikings game, and kind of what led to some of those interceptions for Josh Allen, who now leads the league in interceptions, which is just fantastic.
That hurts. I didn't even know that. That kind of hurts.
He now leads the league in interceptions. So I need to see Josh Allen making more precise throws. I need him to be more crisp with his throws. It seemed like he was throwing behind a little too much or short on some of his throws when we were there on Sunday. And maybe his elbow was a little sore on Sunday. I'll give him that. But I think after another week of rest, we got to see some better throws there, bud. So
a little bit better, like, decision making,
that too.
Like, I don't know if like the decision making and the preciseness go hand in hand, because like we said with the game sealing interception, like the ball was never even going to make it to Davis in the end zone. There, is that because of the elbow, or was that just because he was reading the wrong route? Like, what? I don't know which one. I don't know which. If someone would have to ask him, I don't even know if he would answer honestly. Like, was that an elbow thing, or was that just a bad read? Maybe it was both, and maybe he just needed that extra week. I don't know. Like, let's make one thing clear for Bills fans here. I think we're both. I don't want to speak for both of us, but we saw someone have the audacity to ask, "Do the Bills win this game if Case Keenum plays?" The answer is no. Please go home. You're drunk. But giving Josh that week to rest his injury might have helped, and the result's still a loss either way. But at least he gets that week of rest. Now he doesn't get it, but maybe he'll still be okay. Who knows? Only time will tell.
Yeah, only time will tell. So then, instead of the Bills stopping the Cleveland run on offense, I'm also the third point here is I'm looking for the run game for the Bills. against the Cleveland defense because they're going to need it. The Bills need the run game to help them have a better balanced offense, to keep them help them manage the game better. A 3-and-out with all 3 passes can run off maybe 25 seconds.
Yeah.
In a drive. And instead, you could have 3 runs that get you maybe a first down, or if you're short, but then that runs off about 2.5 minutes on a drive because the clock's running.
Yeah. That's the big difference. And that's why they can't seal these games with big leads.
Right. But yeah, I'm really curious about this run game for the Bills. I think with the way Singletary started out the game, I would hope they would lean back on him again. I thought it was very interesting that they got Duke Johnson involved a little bit in the offense, getting him on the field.
That was fun. I had fun with that.
It was fun.
That was my favorite part.
It was interesting because like Duke Johnson was taking the kickoff returns, but Nyheim Hines was still doing the punts.
Mm-hmm.
So it is very interesting that they're running 2 different people out there on special teams to handle those returns. So like, they had Duke Johnson out there for, only kickoff returns, but on offense to hopefully distract the defense from what the Bills were trying to do. But also we haven't seen Nyheim Hines run the ball yet. He's been there for passing downs, and that's it.
It's almost like the Bills are doing to him what the Urban Meyer era did to Travis Etienne. Why did you guys draft a running back when you have James Robinson? Oh, that's because he's not a running back now. He's a wide receiver. Like that's what they're doing to Hines.
Right. I mean, I'm assuming this is taking the reps away from James Cook, which I think Nyheim Hines is probably the better player right now.
Yeah. Just got to use him properly.
Yeah, I just got to use him. So those are my 3 matchups to watch. My other points, we'll skip to the second one first. Will the Bills receivers do their job? I don't know what it was last weekend, but it seems like Diggs was the only one that was trying hard. Like, yes, Gabe Davis had the touchdown that he was able to turn around and take and get, but we talked about it at the game on Sunday, but like Gabe Davis has to, like, if he's not wide open or if the ball's not leading him, he's not getting it.
That extra effort to adjust and make a catch or compete for the ball, never there.
Right. Like, think about all those 4 touchdowns he had against Kansas City last year. They were on slant routes where he had separation, or he was wide open and able to just take off.
Because no one knew who Gabe Davis was at that point in time.
Right.
So they weren't game planning him. He's just running. Yeah. He's just running amok, doing whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Now they have to. And now people are covering him.
Yep.
He's not flying under the radar anymore. He has to compete.
Yeah. Dawson Knox was okay. If you want to throw him into the receivers doing their job, he was okay last week. I feel like he's not used as much in the offensive game plan. Like what he could be being used as.
For a guy who just signed a massive extension, you'd like to see him used a bit more.
A little bit. Isaiah McKenzie's had his moments. I don't think he's there long term for the Bills. I think he's a fan favorite, but I just don't see the practicality of keeping him. And then Jake Kumaro, I hope he gets released by the Bills at the end of the year. I just haven't seen good things from him this year at all. And then the rookie, Khalil Shakir, I think he's had some moments. I think there needs to be more consistency from him, but I think there's a potential for heading in the right direction. We didn't really see he wasn't involved much at all this past weekend, so it was kind of hard to see how the progression was going. But maybe he gets the opportunity this weekend. We'll see. And my last other point, speaking of this weekend, we are talking about SNOW.
Big SNOW.
Big snow. The Buffalo area is currently projected to get up to or over 2 feet of snow before game time on Sunday.
2 feet and 10 toes, baby.
Starting on this Wednesday in the Highmark Stadium area, they're projected to get snow from Wednesday evening all the way through Saturday. So that will be 2 feet of snow that the Bills will have to clear off the field. They will have no time to clear the stadium, and that is going to be interesting because then they're still calling for another, I think, 1 to 3 inches on Sunday during the game. So this could be Snowmageddon. This could be Snowmageddon again. And the Browns and Bills aren't unfamiliar with snow games. I mean, there was a game probably, I don't know, 14 years ago, maybe 15 years ago now, where they were in Cleveland and the Browns ended up winning 6-3.
Oh, those are fun games right there.
It was a ground and pound because that's all you could do game. And the Bills just recently had it, 5 years ago now, where they were playing the Indianapolis Colts, where they literally fans in the stadium were buried in snow because it snowed that hard in Orchard Park. So it will be interesting to see what happens. I know there's been a lot of speculation already circulating Twitter that, with the Lions being away this weekend, they could always move the game to Detroit.
Don't do it.
Because if they're still getting snow on Saturday, Saturday is typically used to clean out the stadium and clean the seats off where they usually get volunteers and volunteers get paid or, get game tickets for the game. So it'll be interesting to see what the Bills do here. How they're going to prep for how they're going to be able to logistically clear enough snow to get fans into the stadium. And I don't know if the game time will be super snowy, but there's a good chance for it still. So just all that white fluffy stuff.
That's what makes for football right there, though.
Yeah.
Makes football.
Absolutely. So it'll be fun to see. We had some snow during the game this past Sunday, but nothing like what they're expecting over the next handful of days. So something to keep an eye on. I know work is going to be a mess for me the next 4 or 5 days.
That's next like 4 or 5 months, bud.
Well, it's just starting the next 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, no, yeah, starting up. Yeah.
And then favorite bet here because of the snow, which I think is going to change the point spread and drastically reduce it from 8.5. I am taking the under game total of 43.5 because if it's anything like I'm thinking it's going to be, it is going to be Singletary and Cook with touchdowns, and that's about it.
Yeah, I want to double check to see if it's already dropped. Because if you're listening to this right now on a Thursday, it's probably going to be closer to 40. Like as it keeps snowing, this point total is only going to get lower.
Yeah,
I think the opening line at 43.5 is okay, just for the matchup itself, and then with there being snow in the forecast, I think that's a good number. But as it continues to snow, and like the books are like, wow, it's still snowing. That's gonna go down. I would not be shocked if it does keep snowing by Sunday. Like the point total's under 40. Wouldn't be shocked at all.
Yeah.
You can still put up points in the snow, but it's a lot harder.
It is a lot harder. The grounds crew is gonna be busy.
Yeah.
On the field and in the parking lots.
Can't wait. Well, I won't be there. I'll be at home comfortably this time around, just laughing at everyone else being cold. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the show, folks. That's all she wrote. We're going to be hunkering down, getting ready for the snow over here where we are. Hope everyone else stays safe as we start approaching the colder weather. You know, if you don't have the snow tires on yet, you know, get the chains, put the snow brush back in your car, get it out of the garage or the basement, put that back in your car. You know, times are getting exciting. It's getting cold here. But what we can guarantee you is that you will still have another episodes of Fans of the Week from your hosts,
Durf
and Dylan, every week, unless we lose power. Then that could shake things up, but we're still going to be doing our best.
Yep.
Go Hawks.
Go Bills.